Hey, what's going on, guys? Garden Shed here, and welcome. So, finally got some new brackets for my GoPro. Well, my YI. So I'll have to see if it works. Just make sure. I still haven't got a handlebar mount, but hopefully this will stop falling over. So the other day, I went on my BikeSafe course, which I've been really looking forward to. I first booked it back in 2016, and it was cancelled. 2017 cancelled again. 2018 couldn't book it because of a hole in the head. So yeah, 2019 finally got around to doing it. So yeah, I thought I'd just do sort of a bit of a talk through about the day and what I found useful and things like that. So I had to be at the police station in Leicester in Enderby for 8:45. Typically I was actually early for once on the bike. There you go. I'm normally always early, but as soon as there's a motorbike involved, I'm always late. I had to get there 8:45 on the dot, and then went to. There's a bit of a training exercise which basically consisted of watching Think adverts and lessons in Darwinism. I don't think there was anything I didn't know. I'm not trying to be big-headed. It was actually quite simplistic, and I think the whole day is designed not to intimidate, but you know, it was basically don't overtake on a blind corner, don't tailgate, be very careful if you're filtering past a junction, you know, just the standard common sense things, which was fine. And we met Kev, the policeman, who was going to be taking us out, and it was just two of us. It was me and a chap, we'll call him Dan because I genuinely can't remember his name. I don't think it was Dan though. And so we were asked sort of about our riding history, why we decided to learn to ride, how long we've been riding for. So I sort of went through mine, which you guys all know because it's pretty much documented here on YouTube. And Dan had been riding for about 15 years, only ever commuted in Leicester. He'd never ridden a bike outside of Leicester, which was, I thought was actually quite impressive. I mean, how do you go riding that long and never ride a bike outside of Leicester? So then we set off, and what was made clear is we'd be doing about 100 miles in the day. Dan was saying the first he'd ever done was about 15 miles. So right from the off, it was going to be interesting doing that sort of mileage. If you're not used to doing 100 miles actually seems like a hell of a long distance. Again, not trying to be big-headed, because of where I ride, how I ride, when I ride, where I go. 100 miles to me is just about worth putting my kit on for. He was sort of talking about that. He was like, "Are you okay with it?" I was like, "Yeah, I should be alright." He was like, "What sort of mileage do you do?" I didn't really want to sort of rub it in. I went, "Well, I went to Norfolk and back for the day yesterday." And he was like, "Yeah, okay, you'll be fine." But Kev was the policeman was a really, really nice guy. So we kitted up, we set off, and one thing became very apparent to me when I was kitting up. It was chucking it down with rain, and I'd packed 2 right-hand waterproof gloves. So I decided to wear these instead, which made my hands go very black. Very, very black. So we headed off. We were told we'd ride for about 20 minutes, then we'd stop, have a chat, and what would happen is one would ride in front of Kev, the policeman, one would ride behind him, and then every 20 minutes stop, we pulled over, had a chat, he'd switch us over. So I was the first to go, and in front, and the first thing that strikes me is it is bloody terrifying having a police bike follow you. And he said, you know, the whole point of the day is to ride naturally, because you then, you know, I can assess your riding properly. I wasn't riding naturally, I was riding very carefully, but as you do. And he said, yeah, first bit's the same. And he pointed out to me that my road positioning isn't great. So when I'm riding along, I tend to sit where I am now, really. And what I should be doing is corner to corner, take the opposite of the racing line. So you take the widest line round the corner, which gives you a much better view. And what he did for me was he actually, he stood us in a housing estate at a road sign and went, right, stand where you'd say this is the road, and he sort of marked out road between the verge and the pavement. He said, this is where you normally sit, and it was sort of right hand side of the pavement. Oh no, that's not fair. And can't see, So he said, you know, go where you normally go. So I did. What can you see? What's the furthest point? Right, you can see him as a blind corner. This, and then he said, well, now stand on the verge effectively. What can you see? And the difference is unbelievable. We worked out it was about 18 meters difference in what I could see. So that was really interesting, and it really put into the practical aspect of how road positioning can really help with visibility around a corner. Dan went in front for a bit. I was actually quite surprised. So he was on a CBR 600F, and I thought, you know, 15 years, he'll actually be a really competent rider. He was fine in towns, but he just, I think because he had only ever ridden in Leicester on country roads, he was a bit under the pace, we shall say. I mean, we weren't riding fast. I was bimbling along like I am now, you know, obeying speed limits because policemen. Yeah, he definitely wasn't very confident. But at the end of the day, I kind of have to ride how I normally would do, which isn't balls to the wall fast, but it's just, I would say I'm average pace, maybe a bit under that, slightly more relaxed, I don't know. So the second bit was going around Rutland Water. He said, oh, I'll try and keep it to roads you don't know, but we couldn't, and he asked us in the briefing meeting, you know, where weren't we too good at navigating. For Dan it was this area around here and Rutland Water and stuff like that. For me it was north of Leicester, but the BSB was on, so he said, well, we'll go, well, Dan said he didn't really mind, but because the BSB was on, we came round here, which was actually, I thought, slightly more useful, because then you can see how I actually ride. Anyway, we were going around Rutland Water. There was a very slow car, so I decided the safest thing to do was to get in front of it, and he'd said in his meeting, you know, overtaking, do it safely. So I did. The car was sat at 50, I think I got up to about 80 overtaking. I was like, oh, I wasn't really thinking, oh, police car behind me. And he praised me in the end for a clean overtake, so that was good. So apparently, you know, speeding is okay providing you're overtaking safely, not doing like 100 miles an hour or so to pass a slower vehicle, providing you slow down to the speed limit afterwards. To me, it seems highly logical. Obviously, speed cameras aren't logical, but policemen are, so. And then after that, I found I really settled down and just learned to enjoy the day. I don't like sitting out wide on a corner, because, well, especially a left-hand pen, because you've got an oncoming car if you're too far. Loads of helpful tips and things like that. Like I said, the main one for me was road position, my balance at slow speed. And he just went, is there a reason why you like that? And I was like, yeah, and I explained to him. And he was cool with that. But I did say before, I said my slow speed's not great, but it's because I had an operation. It was just little things like how to come out on dual carriageways, just general all-around riding tips, which was actually really useful. And also he sort of did quite a bit about progressive riding. As I say, I think it was about £50 for the day. We got packed lunch. It was actually more than you could eat in packed lunch. It was, you know, off-the-shelf sandwich, chocolate bars, fruit, crisps, drink, and then you get a bag of goodies at the end, pens, booklets, kickstand stop, tyre depth gauge, which was a key ring, also works as a supermarket token, and it was just nice. And the overall feeling I got of the day was, actually, Kev, yeah, he is a policeman, but he's a biker, and he was a really, really nice chap. You know, the little things like he went to the left of the speed bump, I went to the right of it, and my logic was, well, there are overhanging trees, there could be sludge and stuff like that. And he went, yeah, he said, it's completely down to you. He said, I'll probably do the same thing if I thought about it. But they always say on these courses, don't, unless the examiner says follow me and my lines, do not do it, because they're basically riding in the best way to get a view to assess your riding, not the best way to ride. I would highly recommend it to anyone who has the time. They do fill up rather a lot. Alright, anyway, so that was BikeSafe. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.